ReefDudes is sponsored by Ecotech Marine and Bulk Reef Supply.
What's going on, guys? Devin from ReefDudes, and today we are checking out this 16-foot, 2,000-gallon reef tank.
Hi, my name's Kai and I love fish. I'd like to introduce you to our 2,000-gallon aquarium we have set up here. This is a saltwater tank, probably some of the finest fish you'd ever find here. Filtration is all hidden underneath it, and everything is custom built to fit into this home.
So this is a monster tank. This tank is what, 16 feet long?
You bet, and it's 3 feet deep, and it's gonna be 6 feet tall without any of the cabinetry. Now the cool part about this one is the front panel is actually one piece. So this entire piece of acrylic is one sheet, front to back.
That is absolutely massive. It's cool because there's no actual seams.
Yep,
so they bend it around the corners?
No, so the side panels are gonna be bonded in there.
Okay.
You can see these bonds right in here.
Yeah, that's still crazy how thick this is. This is probably, what, 4 inches thick?
You betcha.
Dang.
Yeah, you see one side to the other through it. Which makes it very difficult to run a magnetic cleaner, that's for sure.
I believe it. But worth it.
Yep.
So I guess how much work is it to maintain this massive tank?
This one's not too bad. The nice thing is we did a little bit of forethought before putting it in. So we do have a lot of the water in the drain active here, so we're not having to run a lot of hoses back and forth, which makes it a little bit easier. The gentleman who purchased it, he actually invested a lot of money into the infrastructure. So the UV lights alone, you're cresting, I think, 220 watts of UV power into here. We're running dual spa packs. Everything is on Schedule 40 or Schedule 80 fittings. We use pool spa filter packs, so it actually has a commercial grade type filtration that you'd find in a swimming pool on it. And then we have downdraft towers on the left-hand side here, and the sump built in to give some biological filtration as well.
Nice.
We run 3 media chambers in here. We run a protein skimmer, and we do regular water changes. Other than that, it's pretty easy to maintain.
Oh, that's awesome. So this is definitely like a really cool insert you have in it, and there is bits of real coral mixed in, which is kind of cool.
You know, I actually made a good friend Dante with these inserts. He lives down in the States there, and we became quite good friends after conversing every single day back and forth about these things. But Dante actually, he flew down with the inserts and met at the Acrylic's manufacturing place, put all the inserts in before they finally put the lid on top of this tank. So this was actually done in multiple stages where we had to get a couple different tradespeople working together. After the inserts were all done and we picked out what coral goes where, they flew them over to where the manufacturing place was. He climbed right in there, attached everything all up, and then the Acrylic manufacturing place put the lids back on top of it, and then they sealed it all up, wrapped it all up, and shipped it over.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So those inserts are in there for life now.
You betcha. They're not coming back out. That's one piece, start to finish, front to back.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then we have 3 separate islands. Now the cool thing about these islands here is actually this is the output for the closed loop, and this one over here is your input. So when you actually take a look at it, you can see current coming out of the little coral head.
That's really cool. So those barnacles are actually the intake.
Yep.
That's a
well, this would be your output. This would be your effluent out on this side, intake on the other side.
That's a really cool way to hide the filtration.
Yeah, so that's all 2-inch plumbing underneath.
Yeah.
If you're interested, how about I pop the hood?
I would love to see inside.
Perfect. Let's get some panels off.
Beautiful.
So today we're going to be doing some servicing of the aquarium, and I'm going to give you a walkthrough of what are some of the things involved in taking care of a tank of this size. So you'll see here, like Devin pointed out, we do have a sump. This is our main sump system, and this is actually going to allow a lot of oxygen, a lot of mechanical filtration, and then it allows us to do our auto top off so that we make sure we always have water in here, and our media reactors as well too. So the water comes in through here. This is a 2-inch output on both sides. That's your overflow. It runs into these media towers where there's a little tray built into them where we open that up and we just put in our filter floss into it. Filter floss, best option for a tank like this. It is inexpensive and easy to work with. After that, it goes into these guys here, which is your biological filtration. As all of you know, you need positive and good bacteria to actually run these tanks, and that's where these guys are full of and come in really handy for us. After that, it goes into the center chamber from both sides, and over here we have our float switch. We have a probe holder if we ever wanted to add an apex onto this guy here, and we have a couple bungs out on the back there where the water travels over to our return pumps and to our secondary sump. In the secondary sump, the nice thing about this, it gives us a little bit extra room in case, for example, the power shuts off and we need the water to go somewhere that is not on the floor. We have some extra wiggle room into here. It also allows us to run a secondary skimmer. It allows us to use other media reactors and this fun little place here to grow macroalgae. So our customer is very hands-on. He loves feeding the fish. He loves being good to them. So we like to grow macroalgae when he's in Canada. And we put it in here, and that allows him to grab a big chunk of it, jump into the elevator up here, ride the elevator all the way up, and then he can just toss it into the top and feed the fish from here.
You ride the elevator up to feed the fish?
You betcha. Right up through our little access hole there.
That's awesome.
Question I get asked quite a bit, Kai, what is a closed loop and why is it important? So larger tanks like this, we definitely don't have the place to put an MP40 or a power head on here. I don't want to see the wires, I don't want to see it, and it's frankly, it's not going to push 16 feet of volume, let's be honest with you. So we use a spa pack. This is pretty common in a large scale commercial type unit like this, or a display tank, we would call that one. So here we have our input underneath this bulkhead right here, and it comes down in here. We throw a ball valve on just in case. Here's our drain. So if I want to do a water change, or if I have any problems or anything like that, this right here is a drain. I cock that open, gonna go straight into it here. From there, it goes into a reflow dart. I love the darts. I think it's a fantastic product for what it is. Heads into these cartridge filters. Now, you'll probably see these more commonly on a swimming pool. Oddly enough, tanks this size are just kind of treated like spas at this point. So this guy right here heads into the cartridge filter. It's a very easily replaceable filter. This is available at any pond or pool supply place. Basically, once this guy's full, a little flap pops down, water heads into the secondary one, flap pops down, and then it heads up to our ultraviolet. To clean these guys out, very simple. I just shut off the ball valves. I open the drain to take out the extra water out of this guy. I pop these guys up. I usually throw them in a dishwasher or so, or I'll just let them sit into some vinegar or bleach water for a little bit. About every year or so, I do replace them. They're really only about 30, 40 bucks, something like that. They can't be too expensive each. So I usually just every year or so, I'll replace them just as a precautionary maintenance thing. After that, we head up to these guys here. These are the Lifeguard Aquatic UV lights. I believe it's a 120 and a 100 if I remember correctly, somewhere in there. These guys are so nice. They got day counters on them. They're digital. They have automatic smart ballast. Fantastic product. I absolutely love these guys. Really well done. So you'll notice they're all braced up here. We actually, so funny enough, I started from finish on this guy here. We came in, the customer had built in originally a bar into here, and approaching completion, he says, Kai, I don't want a bar in here. I really want to see a fish tank. So we had to work with the space, but we made it work. The nice thing is we had electrical, we had plumbing, and we had a drain. And those are the three things, really, ultimately as a fish keeper, those are, you give me those, we're set. So what we did here is I actually had to level the concrete. So before the floor came in, I actually, I rented a concrete, what do they call that thing? It levels it all out, a big sander, big massive sander, big wet mess. So I sanded it all down, made it flat. Okay, so after we poured the concrete, we had to put the stand in place. Now the easiest way to do something of this size is just weld it in place. I hate to say this, but I mean, how many are gonna get this down here, right? So buddy came up from Vancouver. I'm so thankful he did that. We welded this guy up together. So it's just a 2-inch rolled steel, welded the stand start to finish into here, gave it a nice paint job, put it into place. Then we ended up putting more grout into here just to level it and make sure it was 100% in place. Now, the nice thing about this here is we're on a mountain. So we're actually attached right against the mountain here. Now, this is a lot of weight. And when we did the calculations, we figured roughly 28,000 pounds. So roughly a swimming pool. So now you have to get into structure because that's a lot of weight for a house that's sitting on a hillside. So what we've actually done is we threw 14-inch anchors directly into the rockwork and it's welded to the stand. So this is actually secured in against the rockwork onto it. This guy's not going anywhere. The house is collapsing around the tank and the tank hopefully stays right here if there's any problems to it. After we did all that, we threw some insulation on it. We had some cabinet guy come in. We did French cleats for the cabinetry. It just seemed the easiest way to get these guys on here and trim it real nice. To get the tank in here, that was a bit of a problem. It's empty. I think it's still 7,000 pounds, I believe this thing weighs. If you've ever moved a fish tank, you know exactly the problem I'm facing now. So I made a big Facebook post, says, guys, who can help me on this one? So we rented a crane truck. We had it craned over onto the patio here. Next caveat, this patio actually doesn't have grout. So each tile is suspended on a dampener. So what we had to do is build a false floor here that would distribute the weight evenly across the patio deck. So we raised it up, I believe it was 2.5 inches in total, and then we brought it in here. So I rented motorized dollies, and then we walked it over to this way. Once we got it up actually close to the tank here, we did a little pallet run. We returned them, I promise, but we ended up putting pallets on both sides. We jacked it up with a pallet jack, slid a pallet under one side, went to the other side, jacked it up, slid a pallet underneath, all the way till you see this ride height here. Then what I did, big old bucket of lube, put it all over top of that rubber, all over across here, and I had, I think it was 17 guys showed up, and we just pushed. Got it real close to it. Then what we did is we attached a bolt on the inside here. I attached a bolt on the inside here and one on this side, and then using a nut and a ratchet, I just tightened it up with a small little flange on it, and that was able to push it so it was nice and flush on it. So that got us to exactly where we needed to be. Once it was in place, it's not moving anywhere. This, believe it or not, took, I believe, 33 days to fill with reverse osmosis with 2 water filters running. It took forever, but gave me lots of time. Yep, a little over a month. We had a poll going on. It was pretty fun. Same thing on top. We did go to an aluminum subframe up top just to save on weight. There's absolutely zero reason we needed to do steel up there. So my friend came in actually and he welded that guy up for us. And then the cabinet guy came in and he trimmed it all up, made it look real nice. Not that the aluminum didn't look nice. He did a good job on that. But so these guys are Ecotech XR30s up there. I believe we got 6 or 8 up there. I think we have 8 of them up there. There's quite a few of them, but they do penetrate quite good underneath here. It does allow us to grow stuff in here if we were around more often. But yeah, lights the place up pretty good.
For having a 6-foot deep tank, it actually does look surprisingly right on the sand bed considering.
Yep, we could probably turn the lights up too if we wanted to, but it's not so bad. Yeah, Ecotech does a great job. I have to say they're one of my favorite go-tos.
It's still crazy. That's like at least 4 inches. We'll probably go 4 inches thick, let's say.
Yeah, I think it's 4 inch. It's either 3.5 or 4. I believe it's a 4 inch thick though. Yeah, so you learn a lot when you do this too. The funny thing is there is actually a certain internal depth where you can't go in here. There's, so the original plan on this, because the bar was gonna sit out to a certain, we had to do 32 inches. The unfortunate part is there's actually a drastic difference between 32 inches and 36 inches when you're inside the tank. There's a huge problem with being able to turn around, losing orientation, and then hitting your head on the bracing that goes across. I've learned a lot of people that actually, through mistakes and trial and errors have learned things. There's laws, not in Canada, but elsewhere there's laws against a 32-inch tank, so we bumped it up to 36 internal. High probability of drowning and hurting yourself in a 32-inch tank, so it is actually illegal. Believe it or not, even different types of materials and stuff, you can't have anything taller than 4 feet being in out of glass. That's the thing. One of your party guests goes by with a coffee cup, hits it on there, immediate disarray. So we go acrylic. A little more reliable in a tank this size. So my customer's in Mexico right now, and when he comes in, I like to make sure it's looking really nice for him. So probably about half a dozen times a year, I dive right into it. Turns out it's a lot easier going inside. Take me an hour to clean it from the inside, takes me 6 hours from the outside. So at that point, we just jump right in. So we've devised a bit of a system here, and I'm gonna have my friend Devin help me out with that one. You're in charge of my oxygen. Please don't let me down on this. But you guys get to see what it's like when I dive right in, and you get to see that jerk clownfish attack me.
We ready to do this or what? Yep, so apparently I'm pretty buoyant, actually. So I got, I think 3 of them on here. I don't wear the shoes anymore, and now I leave them unzipped because when I get out, I gotta get the water to pour out of it. This one is not very insulated, so it does get cold after about probably about an hour or so. I've had about an hour and a half. Now, this guy right here has been replaced. So this is something from the past. They now have made the octopus mandatory. So this one right here is a singular regulator, which is kind of getting harder to find now, but this guy works fantastic. Works just like your standard diving system. So you plug this into oxygen, give her a little purge, move on with your day. Standard mask just gives me some good viewing ability here, and the weights pop me down to the bottom. The only thing you gotta be careful of, you gotta clasp. So once I get into the tank, I'm gonna tie a microfiber around here just in case I'm wiggling my butt against the acrylic. I don't wanna come out to some scratches. Now, that being said, there's always scratches in the tank, let's be honest. We try our best, we're always gonna scratch it. So I've devised a little system. I do actually come in here with sandpaper and with toothpaste every single time. Funny enough, toothpaste is actually usually made from kelp, one of the active ingredients in there, so I use that to polish stuff from the inside. So I think there was a massive scratch here last time, so I took that guy out just using toothpaste, my fingers, and some sandpaper. So we start off around 1,500 grit, we go all the way up to 5,000 grit, which is a diamond type grit, and then we just polish them out from there, and then I use toothpaste on a microfiber and we get her out the rest of the way. But yeah, we had a massive scratch through here. It happens. You know, you get an acrylic cleaner in there and you get a little piece of debris or dust or something. It happens so easy with acrylic. Anybody who has an acrylic tank can attest to that. You breathe on it the wrong way, you got scratches in it. So every time I go in, I try to make the most of my time. So I bring all the accessories and stuff. If I run into a scratch I want to take out, like for example, the urchin marks here that he left behind, I'll just get in there, we'll polish them out, and that way it should look nice when I pop back out again. Now, the one thing we have to do, we have to remove 1 chi from the system. So what that means is my water volume, if I jump in here, I'm gonna overflow the tank. So we're gonna set up a pump here into sump number 1, and we're gonna remove 1 chi. And then when we're done, we're gonna put chi back in again. So we're gonna fill this jug up.
I'd say, how many gallons is 1 chi? What did you work this out to?
Well, I'd say I'm at least 30 gallons. I think I'd be 30 gallons. What do you guys think? How many gallons do you think a chi is? So the reason I've asked Devin to come join me today is I need a trustworthy source. There's a lot of communication breakdown between inside the tank and outside the tank, as you can imagine. I don't hear anything inside there. So the funny thing is, because it is 4-inch thick acrylic, when you're actually looking through it, I can't see anything from here down. So if you want me to clean off this speck of algae right there, I'm gonna have to have Devin stand back over here and point down to it. And we're gonna have this conversation up here as I'm reaching down here and cleaning it at the same time. So you gotta have a trustworthy source. I've also put him in charge of the oxygen. So he's gonna be watching my air line, he's gonna be listening for the air compressor to make sure it works, and he's gonna keep an eye out for floods. So now that we've removed a Kai, we feel pretty confident here. I should be able to jump in without flooding the place, but Devin's in charge. One of the most dangerous and overlooked portions of this is actually forgetting where you came from. As the age-old saying, don't forget where you came from. Always remember your access hole, remember your bearings, and I always check on top. So you'll see sometimes when I'm cleaning the tank, I'll have my arms in the air. That's to check where the lid openings are. And it is extremely important that you don't lose your bearings. That is the number one way for a head injury and to drown inside a fish tank. So, don't forget where you came from.
Yeah, the thing opened pretty much instantly. She was happy. Now that we're Kai's out, we can replace our Kai's worth of water and back into the sump. And when that's finished, we will kick the pumps back on and let the filtration finish clearing up the water. That's
so,
it.
Another day at the Purple Seahorse. Do you regret joining?
No, this is awesome. Thanks for bringing me.
Well, while we're waiting for it to fill up, just like any water change and maintenancing, tank looks awful. Didn't we do a great job?
It looks good. It looks
so,
nice
in the process of us waiting for us to do a 200-gallon-ish water change sort of thing, we'd sign out, say thank you for joining us today. Reef Dudes, appreciate you, as always.
Thanks for bringing me. And there you go, guys.
Thanks for your help.
Maintain a 2,000-gallon tank.
Have a great night, guys. Thanks.